You're listening to the Inside the Mix podcast with your host, Marc Matthews.
Hello and welcome to the Inside the Mix podcast. I'm Marc Matthews, your host, musician, producer, and mix and mastering engineer. You've come to the right place if you want to know more about your favorite synth music artists, music engineering and production, songwriting, and the music industry. I've been writing, producing, mixing, and mastering music for over 15 years, and I want to share what I've learned with you. Hey folks, before we start this episode, I just want to say a big thank you to the returning listeners and also hello to the new listeners who might be listening to the podcast for the first time today. If that is the case, please do go check out the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify and Overcast and anywhere else that you might listen to the podcast. Before the podcast starts, now this episode in particular, I've been trying to chat and catch up with Cuzi Music for a while now. And in this interview, it's actually taking place in Starbucks of all places. So there is a lot of inherent noise from the environment itself. Now it has challenged me in my abilities of removing said noise, but I could only remove so much as to not interfere with the actual audio itself. So please do persevere with it. If you are a new time listener to the podcast, please do note that this isn't what you can come to expect with regards to the audio quality. And it is a one-off in this respect, but I hope you do enjoy the episode. So let's get started. Hey folks, welcome back to the Inside the Mix podcast. And in this episode, I'm excited to welcome our guest today, Christian Cuzi. So he is a Miami-based artist on a mission to deliver his unique blend of neon synthwave soundscapes to catchy pop sensibilities. Through his music, Cuzi attempts to tackle the subjects of love, drugs, and cynicism with honest lyrics that are personally directed to his audience. And we're going to dive into that and ask a few questions on that a bit later. So he's going to share with us his musical story, songwriting, and composition processes, and more. So hi, Christian. Thanks for joining me today. How are you?
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. So can you just tell our audience where you're joining us from today? Because this is the first for the podcast.
I'm, as unprofessional as it may seem, I'm actually I'm coming in from a Starbucks right now. This interview is taking place in between my Miami to California move, so kind of all over the place. So if you hear people in the background, it's not an entourage, it's really just people picking up their bacon, egg, and cheeses in the morning.
I like that entourage disclaimer. That's great, man. I know what it's like when you're moving. It's an absolute pain when you got stuff in boxes and you go from A to B. So I totally sympathize, man. It's hard work. I've been there a few times. So, Cuzi, what I'd like to start off with, as I do with all interviews, is just a bit about you as a musician. So, can you tell our audience a bit about your life growing up and how you fell into being a musician and how it all started? Where did it all begin?
I was born in Peru, and I came here to the States when I was, I think, 8. I actually have no musical background. My family is all businessmen and businesswomen. They're in restaurants, so they're all good at math and finances, and comes this slamming on this keyboard and stuff like that. I've always been attracted to the idea of music, but I never knew how to pursue it. And then finally, I just through sources like the internet and getting my first guitar, I sort of started teaching myself, but I have no formal training or anything. Just kind of naturally, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. That was somebody shaking a coffee down, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's actually empty, and I have a speaker just playing coffee shop noises.
Yeah. I love it. That's interesting. That I like the fact that you moved over from Peru when you were 8, and your family have no musical background. It's quite an interesting topic because I'm very much of the same. I'm a musician myself. I'm the only one in my family who's a musician, and my parents, yes, they listen to music, but yeah, and they never actually played an instrument or anything like that. So I totally sympathise with you on that. But what was your first guitar?
It was a PV, I believe it was called the Raptor. It might have been the name of the amp because it was like one of those amp guitar combos. It was a Sunburst. I liked it a lot just because of how small it was, and I'm a pretty small guy, and at the time I was even tinier than I am now. It was perfect, and like I said, I just kind of pulled tabs off the internet and it just sounded like crap for a while.
Yeah. So I did the same as well, man. I had a whole folder, a lever arch file, as we call it over here, full of tabs. And I remember getting rid of it probably a few years back, and looking through the songs I'd gone through. What did you use for tabs? Did you use Ultimate Guitar? That was my main resource for
Ultimate
tabs.
Guitar, and I would download which I'm sure wreaked havoc on the computer, but I used LimeWire to download the guitar profiles to load into the software, and of course the Guitar Pro software was cracked as well. It was a very DIY kind of thing. Sorry, Guitar Pro. I'll buy a license.
Yeah, I use LimeWire as well, and I did the same. I can't remember. Did I use Guitar Pro? I'm fairly certain I did use Guitar Pro. Whether it's legitimate or not, I can't remember. I'm not going to disclose that for fear of them coming after me. That's great, man. So, do you play any other instruments?
I actually was a drummer first before guitar, but I never owned drums. I was just in the drum line at school. So that's my first real interaction with like a cohesive music actual program. So guitar was just kind of this thing. Everybody wants to be the guitarist in a band. And the drummer and the bassist are all the way in the back. So I guess I wanted
Yeah. It's the ironic thing, isn't it? Because everybody wants to be the guitarist, and for that reason, there are so many guitarists. Yeah, drummers and bassists. To find a really good drummer and bassist is hard.
That's the key to a good band.
Yeah, 100%. That rhythm section. So, growing up, what were the sort of musical influences? What influenced you as a musician? Was there like a seminal or like a really key piece of music or artist or release that had an influence on you as an artist?
I think what launched it all, sort of opened it up for me, was my mom had a copy of The Wall vinyl from Pink Floyd, and that somebody needs to pick up their lemonade. So I don't know if you heard that.
I did.
We've been looking for her for a while. But Pink Floyd's The Wall. I think I was like 11 when I found it. I was just kind of looking through the art, and I was like, this one was all animated, hand-drawn illustrations. So it really just got my childish imagination going. And I was looking through, and I was like, I wonder what these songs actually sound like. And it opened up. I went deep into the rabbit hole.
I can imagine. Do you think, has The Wall or that Pink Floyd influence, do you think that comes through in your music that you're releasing now or have released?
Maybe not so much in the sounds or in the sonic portfolio, so to speak. It's not in there. But my approach to songwriting definitely comes from no limitations. Basically, what I took from Pink Floyd was there's no rules. There's no genre that you can't explore, even if it's for just a few sections in a particular song. Throw as many of your influences as you can and see what comes out. I like that whole free exploration.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it sort of echoes a conversation I had with another artist a few podcast episodes back, where he said like you're like an amalgamation of all your influences, and there are no limitations, as you say, and you should embrace them and bring them into your music. And I love the idea that you said about like you're not limited by genre either. Sorry. Which is great, and I think that's a really good place to be in, whereby you're willing to experiment and try out different genres. With that in mind, what would you say? Put you on the spot here. What would be your favorite genre of music? Do you have one?
It's putting me on the spot. I bounce around, man. Sometimes I feel like a poser because there's people that like live and breathe a specific. Sorry, that's a kid from the chair. Live and breathe. This is so unprofessional on my part. I apologize, man. They live and breathe this a particular genre. They wear the clothes. My hair has to be blue because I like synthwave. And, I'm like wearing like a pastel T-shirt and stuff like that. So I'm really just all over the place when it comes to, for one, answering this question, but for two, in terms of my favorite genre of music.
Yeah. No, if someone asked me the same question, I'd say the same. I remember when I've said this on a few podcast episodes, I was in a heavy metal band and I probably just looked like a school teacher on stage. I didn't have long hair. I wore jeans and a black T-shirt, and that's probably about as metal as it got. But
khakis and button up, just shredding it up.
Yeah, I probably saw a few like that, to be fair. We had a lead singer and his choice of attire was not, Yeah, we wear like white trousers, and I'm fairly certain he wore a turtleneck on stage once as well. So
if you can pull off like the dad presence on stage, then you've done it. That's like
yeah,
peak superstardom.
that's like who's doing that at the moment? Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit. I don't know if you've seen it.
Eventually, all rock stars just
Mm,
go into like they'll be looking cool and stuff, and then on their second reunion tour, they're rocking khakis and sandals.
yeah. To be fair, I would as well, man. I like if you've been in the game that long, I just want to be comfortable doing what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah, so
you know, yeah.
these shoes have arch support. These are the ones I take on too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna get arthritis and like you're gonna get our repetitive strain in various places. So you got to be comfortable when you're doing these things, and that's how they go on for so long. I'd say it leads us on nicely to the next question. It doesn't really, but we'll use it as a segue. So the birth of Cuzi as an artist. So in your bio, you mentioned that you tackle the themes of like love, drugs, and cynicism. Was there any reason why, in particular, you sort of like honed in on those three?
Well, I mean, love is kind of universal. Everyone's experienced either something good or something bad that stemmed from feeling the emotion of love, and it's really just a powerful topic. That's why everybody, even when they don't mean to, they always write about that. But I wanted it to be less, sugar coated, less about, less I want to hold your hand, and more about like how today, our approach to relationship or approach to love is changing. And a lot of it does stem from, the party culture and the drug culture. It's kind of a combination of all of those things. The cynicism comes from being able to, even if you're a willing participant in this new way of doing things, it's the ability to step back and kind of see it from an outside lens and going, hey, what are we doing? Is this really how we're supposed to do these? It's kind of like a self.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it, I think, because it's kind of like putting up a mirror to what we experience in our daily lives now, rather than write about sort of like see it all through rose tinted glasses, as you can easily do as a songwriter. It's like the nitty gritty, not necessarily the dark side, but yeah, certainly a mirror to what we experience in modern day society. So with regards to your music, sort of moving on to the next part. So you mentioned you combine you combine synthwave soundscapes with pop music. Why did you go down that particular? What first things first? What drew you into like the synthwave sounds?
I've always loved synthwave, not just sonically, but as the aesthetic as well. The neon, the pinks and blues and purples and stuff like that. That color palette just, I don't know, it just inspires me to when I have those lights on in my room, like synthwave comes out when I start writing music. And I love a lot of synthwave artists, and I'm always just wondering, why aren't they huge? Why is like Carpenter Brute? Why is he all over the world right now? His music is fantastic, and I realized maybe it's because something that's missing is that vocal aspect to it, that poppy vocal, catchy, easy to sing along to. That's like the intro to so many genres for people. Is, oh, I like the vocals. Oh, I like this is catchy. Some of the biggest prog bands and more obscure acts have managed to break through because they package their message so neatly that anyone, regardless of background, can enjoy it. So I thought, okay, let's combine, because everybody likes pop, even if they say they don't. Maybe not all songs. But come on, it's pop for a reason. You take that part of it and then you mix it with the sounds that you actually want to share with people, so that you're kind of tricking people into listening to these obscure genres that they normally perhaps wouldn't.
Yeah, I like that. The idea, I'd say I like it, of tricking, and it kind of echoes something that
Not
I've
tricking.
experienced.
That's a bad choice of words.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean though. I know what you mean, and it kind of echoes the experience that I have with myself as well, because I've produced music and I've done like the synth stuff, and I thought the exact same in that, you know what, I really like vocals, and not that I was writing it to make it like mainstream I suppose it would be more accessible, but for the same reason you did as well. I wanted to put vocals on top of it, because I don't know about you, but I think with vocals it does help broaden the appeal. I guess you're gonna appeal to
Absolutely.
a wider audience. I don't know. What do you think?
I think I don't consider it as maybe like a mainstream thing, because plenty of pop acts or synth based acts do the whole vocal thing, and they're still not you know top of the charts and stuff like that. Like Bob Moses, I'm sure you've heard of them. They have vocals on all their tracks, and they mix it with like the trance electronic thing very well. But they're getting huge, but I think it just makes it more accessible. But most importantly, I think it lets people know what you're singing about. If it's an instrumental track, great, it can sound great, but people want to connect. And I think that's an aspect of music that's really valuable.
Yeah, the word connect is huge with music, isn't it? Is that if you can connect with someone, with an audience, then you've got an audience, and being able to connect is key. With regards to you mentioned now about these artists who are creating incredible music, and they should be bigger and they should be more widely known and experience more success. Can you think of a reason, not a reason why, but what do you think could be done for them to experience that wider success? We've mentioned vocals. Could you think of anything else or maybe something that's holding it back?
I don't think they should change their songs at all. I mean, we're fans because we like the way they sound right now, but I think it just takes time for the right song to catch, the right momentum, maybe the right wave of music that's happening. I did notice that 80s is coming back. 80s always comes back. It's unkillable. And, I just heard a song from John Mayer. It's like, it could be in like an 80s teen pop or teen like movie, like teen movie, It could be on the next like 16 Candles soundtrack. I forgot what, I think it's called like Last Train or something. John Mayer loves trains. But he has a 80s sound, like all The Weeknd. That last two albums have been very synth. It even used the Lindrum, which is like a staple of synthwave and electronic music, and the Lindrum's all over it. So I think it just takes time and maybe a little bit of luck. But Bob Moses is definitely much bigger than we were 5 years ago.
It's interesting about John Mayer. It's Last Train Home. I've made a note of that. I'm going to go check that out, because you are right. You hear more and more of that 80s influence coming through. And there are things in modern culture that help that and help expedite that. And things like Stranger Things, etc., obviously helps a massive amount.
Public consciousness.
But yeah, I think it's cyclical. It's always going to come around. I saw a post the other day, it might have been earlier today actually, which was a meme where it said like in 8 years' time, the 80s would have been 50 years ago, and I was just like, wow, okay, that's an interesting thought to put. I know, 1980 would have been 15 years ago, and it's still prominent and still holding its own musically as well, which is amazing. So before we move on to your actual music and the songwriting and sort of composition side of things, when you started out releasing music, what was your initial goal, and has that changed over time?
Not really, to be honest. My goal was just like, I had these ideas, and if I wasn't writing them out and playing the music and writing the music, it felt like I was sitting still. And really, that was just creating anxiety in me. So I wanted to get these songs out, and I wanted, honestly, before, just for my friends to hear them. I did play in a band in high school, and yeah, that part was fun too. But honestly, what mattered most is I want my friends to hear these songs. I want my family to hear these songs, and that's it. And I just want them kind of like a journal. I just want them out. I want them out of my head. And I guess over time, the mission has maybe just broadened its goal. Like, I still just want as many people to hear these songs as possible, and whether they like it or not. Like, if they don't like the songs, great, it's fine. But I just, if that gives me an opportunity to kind of connect with more people and make them, maybe like if they have a crappy day or something like that, kind of boost their mood, even if it's for the 3.5 minutes that the song is playing. I think that's all I really want. I don't care about anything else.
I think it echoes what you said earlier about being able to connect with people, isn't it? And how you can have an impact on someone in a positive way through your music. And I really like the way you describe your music as a journal, which is a really cool way to describe it. It's a way of getting your ideas down in a creative way and expressing what's going on in your head. Because I don't know about you, but getting ideas, if I have to write, if something's going over and over in my head, I either have to write it down or something along those lines. And music is a great way to express that. And the whole friends and family thing as well is a common thread that I find in these interviews. What was the initial reaction from your friends and family when they first heard your music?
My friends were kind of like, "Oh, duh, yeah, you'd seem like someone." I remember somebody was like, "Yeah, you'd seem like you wrote songs." And I still, to this day, I haven't asked what they meant. I'm too afraid to know what that means. But my family, my family definitely reacted with some pushback at first. They were kind of like, "Really, don't you want to be like a lawyer or a doctor?" And I want to study music. And I remember I had to get my friend's parents to drive me to my Berkeley audition in secret. Um, just because, like, and it's not that my parents were like, "You're no good at it." It was more of like they just wanted, like, can't you pick a more stable career kind of thing, you know? Uh, and here I am doing an interview out of a Starbucks. So clearly, they were right in some aspect.
Yeah, it's a common theme though, isn't it? Like when it comes to music careers, and you hear that all the time. It's okay. Don't you want to do something where it's more guaranteed? You can have a guaranteed like 9 to 5 or stable income or something along those lines. But I think it's important to do what you enjoy and what you're, for want of a better way of putting it, in a cliche term, passionate about, which is music. So did you study music then? Yeah, I'm assuming you did. You studied music in some form.
No, I got in. I got into Berkeley, and then it took me less than a few weeks to realize I don't want to study music. That's an
Okay.
entirely different type of application. I just want to create it, and if I'm not creating it, if I don't know, like, oh, these are thirds, sevenths. Like, if I don't know that, that's fine. If it sounds good to my ear, I'm going to write it down anyway.
Yeah.
So I didn't really formally study music. I did take theory in high school, and I hated it worse than math. So that's around the time when I was like, maybe not
Yeah.
school. I ended up joining the Air Force as a result because I didn't know what I was going to do
Oh wow.
after high school. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do anything musically in the Air Force then? Because I know in the forces there are. No.
I was way away from that. I was
Yeah.
working with aircraft. Yeah, so but I still wrote while I was, and the guys would make fun of me while I was still in the Air Force because everybody would be packing, you'd have like those, like in the movies, like the big like gig bags, like big green bags with like all of their stuff, and I would always like bring an acoustic guitar, like. This is not going to protect you, but I need it so in case I have like song ideas. So yeah, it was an interesting time.
It reminds me of there's a famous UK singer called James Blunt, who gets. I don't know if you would have heard of him in the States, maybe, but he
Yeah,
gets.
I think he had like a huge hit like a while back.
He did. It was called Beautiful. But
That's the one.
he was in the forces, and he followed a similar thing. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I don't know what he did in the forces. I know he was in the forces, but he's great. I like if you follow him on Twitter because unfortunately he does get a lot of he gets trolled a lot. To be fair,
He does.
He does. But he's incredibly witty. His comebacks are fantastic. But look, I can't say I'll follow him, but I've seen some of his comebacks when you see it as memes. But it just reminded me of that story there of how being in the military and then having a musical career thereafter. Yeah, he hit it massive with one song, and then like I think it pretty much set him for life.
I mean, he's no Nickelback, but that's a whole another level of internet hate.
That is next level. But I think Chad Kroeger, I don't know what the rest of Nickelback are called. I think they're probably sat there on their cash piles quite happily.
They're called Nickelback, actually. That's their first and last name. It's just Chad Kroeger, I'm pretty sure.
So moving on to like the composition and songwriting side of things with regards to Cuzi and your music. What I'd like to start with first is your recent release, On and On, great track. For our audience who haven't heard any of your music before, what could they expect from that particular release, On and On?
It still has a lot of like the synths and stuff that my other music has been kind of establishing, but I wanted it to kind of also fuse it with like the bedroom pop, indie pop kind of thing, like more upbeat, happier sounding, less melancholy in this track. But the lyrics, if you like read them, like if you were to read them without any music, it would definitely paint like a clashing picture sonically. But yeah, indie pop with a little bit of synth still scattered in there for good measure.
Nice. I like the idea of you've got like almost like a dichotomy between the lyrics and the music. So you hear the music and you expect it probably to be quite upbeat, quite those rose tinted glasses, I guess, with regards to love or whatever it is you're singing about. But it's quite nice having that juxtaposition of positive, negative, I guess, which is great. And I'll say it at the end of the episode as well. I'll put links to all the music so the audience can go away and listen to this as well. So with regards to the recording process, you play guitar. Do you perform? Do you perform and record all the instruments on your releases?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll have like a sample for stuff that I can't do, like like really quick arpeggiated runs, and I'll like modulate them in some way just because I like the way they sound. But as far as like the guitar work, the drum work, like all of that is written and recorded and performed, which is why the songs take forever. Oh, and sung, yeah, all the vocals is me as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that as singing. So did you start out singing straight away, or is it something you picked up as you went along?
It was a necessary evil.
Mm.
I started writing solo music while I was in the Air Force, and I didn't have anybody. Maybe I was too afraid, to be honest, to ask like these like buff like military dudes, like, "Hey, you want to come sing like falsetto on my tracks?" So I kind of was like, "Okay, I'll just do it." And once I find a singer, I'll re-record them. And I did. I found one of the girls that worked with me, Ivy Collins, beautiful voice. She's still in the military. I've been trying to convince her to leave it and pursue music, but we did a couple tracks. They were more of like a folky, like duet kind of thing. But that's when I started just singing because out of pure necessity. Like I didn't have someone else to sing the track.
Great voice as well. Is it something that you'll consider doing? Is it something that you'll continue to do then, to sing on your recordings?
I think so. Yeah. I think I'm just probably really difficult to work with at this point, since I've worked alone for such a long time. That it's probably best that I just do the vocals myself so that I don't piss someone off. But I am gonna start doing a lot of features with other vocalists just to kind of add some variety.
Have you sung on any other artist releases then? So if you like top-lined or anything like that on other musicians' releases?
There's two artists that I'm currently working with right now. You might know one, Synth Principle. He's very, very, very popular. And yeah, Dan, he's the best. We have a little group that we started called Synth Spirit, as far as different synthwave artists that are in the area and stuff like that. And everybody in that group has been collaborating, and I know that I'm scheduled to collaborate with him. He sent me some stems, and because I take forever, he's probably still waiting on me to send my ideas back. And then I'm working with another artist called Gabby G, and she's a vocalist more in like the R&B kind of thing. Those two artists.
Amazing. Dan's great, isn't he, Synth Principle? He, if I remember rightly, actually, I think I invited him on the podcast, and he pointed me in your direction, if I remember rightly.
He pointed me in your direction.
So, did he? Yeah, good lad.
He's such a good networker. That's a word. It's always like just he's got his ear to the ground.
He's constantly pushing as well, like his social media. I always like to get his views and opinions on content on social media because he's doing very well, and the features he puts out are really, really good as well, and his artwork as well, and his music. To be fair, he's a busy man. I'll give him that. He's a very busy man.
One time he told me, he's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling kind of sick, so I have to take the day off." And that's when we knew that he is human. But before that, we honestly thought he was an AI, just impersonating someone named Dan, because he's always posting, always just killing it in social media as well.
That Synth Principle, I think, is that on Discord? Is that a Discord channel?
It's a Discord channel and a like an Instagram channel.
Yeah. I think I'm part of the Discord channel for that. There are so many groups, I lose track of who's what, and also responding as well can be quite tricky when you're part of multiple groups. But yeah, you do what you can, and then you got people like Dan who are just omnipotent, and he's just everywhere, which is quite impressive. Let's take a quick break from this episode so that I can tell you about a free resource that I made for you. It's a PDF checklist that describes what you need to do to properly prepare a mix for mastering. So you've done the hard work and you love your mix, yet suitably preparing a mix for mastering is often overlooked by musicians, resulting in delayed sessions, excessive back and forth conversation, and frustration on both parts. I want to help fix that. So if you want this free resource, just go to www.synthmusicmastering.com, as this checklist will help and guide you to make the mastering process as smooth, transparent, and exciting as possible. So again, the URL is www.synthmusicmastering.com for this free preparing a mix for mastering checklist. Let's get back to the episode. So what I'd like to touch on next is like your songwriting and composition process. So let's say a typical songwriting, is it a case of like you start when inspiration strikes, or do you think, right, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to knock out a track and see what happens? How does a song start with you?
It's a little bit of both. Vocal lines, it's definitely, I write the melody first. So I'll have like the vocal melody and it's usually the hook. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then I'll either write it down or record it on my phone just to keep the idea. And then I build around that. So I'll grab like the sounds that I want. Like, oh, this sounds like you could use some keyboard here. And I build like what I call the bass of the track. B-A-S-E. And that's the whole genuine inspiration bit. But then I play that loop over and over ad nauseum until I can start hearing the other instruments. And that's usually when I start writing guitar. So I'll start putting the guitars in there, and then before long, the song is finished, and then I have to mix it, which takes like a month.
With that mindset, like you say that you loop it until you can hear the instruments and they start to spring out and you put them in. Do you ever experience it where you're like, actually, I can't hear any instruments? What happens then? Or does that not happen?
That's when those songs end up in the hard drive.
Yeah. I thought that might be the answer.
Yeah, but actually, my track Look probably was cooking for a while. Because something was missing from that track. I'm like, oh, man, I need something to just really like hit the listener at the beginning, just to pull them in. And I played around with a lot of ideas, and then finally my roommate, he hears me play guitar all the time, and he's like, hey, just put like an 80s guitar solo, just like rip one out at the beginning. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And like within the second or third take, like that's the one that ended up on that single, this intro guitar riff to Love Probably, which is, I get hyped every time I hear it, still.
It's a good way of, if you're stuck for something, just stick a nice 80s guitar solo on there, just rip through one of those, just start shredding, man, and stick that on there. I love that idea. And it's great that your roommate heard it as well. It's quite nice. I don't know about you, but sometimes when you're stuck and then someone else just comes in and says, just do that. Like, it's working.
He probably just wanted me to stop because he's tired of hearing me going like, nope, that's not it.
Well, there is that as well. Yeah. But I don't know about you, but I think you can get lost in your own head sometimes with music and like overthink it. When that happens, how do you solve that? Do you have like a process? Have you ever sat down and thought, you know what, I'm way overthinking this? Do you have like a way of overcoming that?
People tell me to not. People will hear me complain, oh man, I have to mix 40 tracks in this song. How am I ever going to do that? And then they'll be like, have you tried just not recording as much? Maybe 12 tracks is enough. And I go, never thought of it that way. And ironically, a lot of my favorite songwriters have this process of like, bare simplicity is the key to a good song. Like Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, all of the Beatles, like they have, this kind of like, keep it here down the middle. You don't need to add all this extra stuff. Most of the time, it doesn't even matter. You're overthinking it. So my friends and my family and everyone close to me, girlfriend, they'll all, you're overthinking it. pull it back, and I'll start just deleting straight tracks at random. See, like, okay, let's see how it sounds like without this. And sometimes it sounds better.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the idea of less is more. And I experience that all the time because, like you, I can have tens, like 20, 30, 40 tracks, and mixing it is an absolute pig. And then I'm like, why do I need all this? I did it with a mix recently, and I was like, and in my notes, like my revision notes, I wrote in there, right, go through. If it's not adding anything to the track, get rid of it. And I went through, and I probably still didn't delete as much as I should have. But it's so
like
easy.
A sentimental part of you is like, no, but I really like it.
Yeah. Like, exactly. It's like no one's going to care that little rise is gone because no one's going to hear it. But I know it's there. But I totally agree, and I think if the best songwriters are saying like just keep it straightforward, then their success is there for a reason, and it's probably something that you should follow. But I totally agree. I go down that same, and it's something I'm still trying to overcome myself. Do you mention there about mixing? So do you mix, master all your music?
The first track that I didn't master was On and On. And I also I mixed it like mostly, and then I handed it off to a producer that has the talent and the time. I kind of just realized that hey, if I want to output more songs, I need to delegate some of this. I need to collaborate. I need to learn to let go of these projects like my babies. And, here, they'll take care of you. On to the next one.
Yeah, it's tricky, that, isn't it? It goes back to what I was saying just then about having all those tracks and not wanting to get rid of stuff, and then actually handing over something to someone else and saying, "Here you go, right? Okay, I'm going to leave that with you now. I want you to take good care of it." What? This is quite a key question. There. What do you think is the success? What is pivotal to the success of a good working partnership with like a mix engineer or mastering engineer? Do you think?
You have to be able to convey what you're hearing, which is sometimes really tough, and to express it like eloquently enough where someone who isn't in your head can understand what you're talking about. And then that's your part of the exchange. That's what you have to contribute. And their participation is just listening to what the person is saying and not letting your own biases as a producer influence the mix. Like, you're working with someone else. This isn't your track all by itself. So I think it's like it humbles both parties, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's key. It's really difficult to understand what's going on in someone's heads. And the better that you can articulate that as an artist to an engineer, the more successful and the easier it's going to be. When it comes to selecting, this is another key question here. When it comes to selecting a mix engineer, what were you looking for?
Just going through their portfolio of work, which was tough because right now the genres here in Miami in particular is more of the Bad Bunny type thing, and I don't know how to even write songs in Spanish, so that's already I'm already an outcast in that. So finding a producer that had at least a couple songs that we've worked in with genres that sound closer to mine, that was how I kind of went and selected it. But Brian's a great dude. I actually found him through Fiverr, ironically, because I went to like 6 or 7 studios here in Miami, and it was just not working out.
That's key. I think what you said there about actually finding someone who produces mix masters, the actual genre that you're working in, because they understand the sound, they understand the timbre, the instruments that you're working with. So I think that's a massive key. That's a massive bit of key information for the audience to take away. If you're going to outsource, is to find someone who actually knows about your genre of music, rather than just go for someone who's got a long line of artists or hits, because they understand what it is. Yeah, exactly that. What I'd like to move on to next is the track Love, Probably, which is another great track. Can you tell our audience a bit about the songwriting and the inspiration behind that track?
I was, for the music, I just wanted something like just bouncy and as much synthwave as I could cram into one song. And the '80s guitar on it is honestly just the bow on top of that present. So that was the mission. That was the goal. My two previous songs were kind of more slower pace, and I wanted something that could just get people hyped up and moving around. Lyrically, I came up with some of the lines and the ideas from being in. I was at a party in Miami, and I don't remember if it was back when I was in college still, but I just remembered kind of like that sobering experience where you realize you're not as intoxicated as everyone else there, and maybe I'm not having as much fun as the DJ says I'm having, or that everyone else seems to have. Are they actually having fun? Are they pretending? And then you just get into your head of like, we do a lot of silly things when we're socializing, thinking that it's the norm. And is any of this actually normal? Are we supposed to be enjoying this? And that's the kind of whole thing. And around that time, a lot of these summer tracks were coming out. And every summer track is like, we only have tonight. We're falling in love on the dance floor. It's so romanticized, right? And that's why I named it Love Probably, also kind of play on the whole Love Actually thing. But Love Probably, because realistically, you're probably never going to see this person again. You're probably infatuated and you're probably intoxicated. So chances are you don't love this person. Only you feel like you do because the song is telling you that you do. The song is telling you that you're having fun. So all of the lyrics on there is just kind of like, that's where the real cynicism is.
It goes back to what we were saying earlier about holding up a mirror to what actually is happening and like reflecting it back on them. Because you are right, like summer anthems are all about like, we've got tonight, dance floor, let's have a drink on the dance floor, blah, blah, blah. It's quite formulaic, and it's quite nice to hear a different approach to reflecting that. And in doing so, the way you've done it as well. So when you were at this party, did you like start to formulate the lyrics at the time, or was it like, this is a concept, I'll go away and write this, or did you start doing it there and then?
Just get like a notepad or a napkin.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I think there's a couple lines. So there's a couple parties in Miami, and I don't personally dabble in any drugs or anything. I'm just scared of what the effect would be on me. I drink, of course, but obviously cocaine is very big in Miami, and if you go out anywhere, you're probably going to see someone using this thing. And I thought it was kind of funny that there was a line. I was waiting in line to use the bathroom, and there was like a whole line of people that were just waiting in there so that they could do cocaine in the bathroom. And that's when I came up with the line, blame it all on the powder room, because it's like a play on words. But the whole heart says love, but it's probably not, which is the hook. That I think I came up with like the night out, because I was just so tired of hearing those songs talking about how we're in love and we have tonight.
That's a great story. Audience, when you're going to listen into this track now, just have that thought in mind of that line for the
me really needing to use the bathroom and just being frustrated with everybody.
Yeah, I'd find that incredibly frustrating if I genuinely needed the bathroom and then like someone's in there just doing that. And I don't know. You don't get that in the Southwest where I am. It's not as prevalent in the UK down in the Southwest. It's quite rural where I am, so you don't really get that a massive amount. But yeah, it's one of those things. So before we wrap up, there's one other track that I want to just have a quick chat about, and that is the track Us. So I was listening to this, and it kind of reminded me a bit, because it's quite chilled and ambient, and it kind of reminded me a bit of like Massive Attack and London Grammar, which are two UK-based bands. I don't know if you've heard of either. I know Massive Attack are quite big.
Massive Attack, yeah. But
yeah.
You said London Grammar?
That's right, yeah.
I'm going to check them out. I haven't heard
Yeah. Do so. They did a cover of Kavinsky's Night Call.
Okay, you got me at Kavinsky.
Yeah. So look up London Grammar Night Call, and yeah, you'll see what I mean. I think it was used for an advert. No, the Kavinsky track was used for an advert. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, go check them out. So that track in particular, can you tell us a bit of the story behind that one? Because that track's right up my street, that one.
Oh, okay. I'll make another one just for you. Another more chilled out. I got another chilled out track coming out. But The story behind that is just the concept of knowing when to let go of maybe, a relationship, friendship, hell, even a job, something that you feel isn't doing you, like you're being harmed by this, like it's toxic or it's not, it's just not working for you. Sometimes you get so infatuated with the idea of something working out that you're incapable of seeing the damage that it's doing to both parties. And I thought the line "We just need to escape us" was good because honestly, I think it's healthy to know when it's time to back off or walk away. That's the whole concept of that track. And so that the whole mood of it kind of fits because I wanted it to sound like someone's kind of thinking to themselves. So that's why the vocals are very flowy and the backing instruments are not too intrusive. They're kind of just helping the vocals stand out.
No, it's a great track. And one question I've got for you with regards to, like you mentioned there about your vocals and lyrics, and it's actually come up and thought about this a couple of times now. So we mentioned earlier about limitations and having no limitations when it comes to writing music. Have you ever come up with something and thought, you know what, that's probably a bit too, it's a bit too far, for want of a better way of putting it? Or have you just thought, no, you know what, it's in my head, I've got it down, it's going out there?
It's that's how Cuzi got started. Before I released music as Christian Kuzma, and it was very acoustic and folky, and even had some flamenco vibes in it. And then I'm in a hotel room in Miami, and I don't have any of my instruments. I just have my laptop. And I was like, okay, let's just use the keyboard, like musical typing on GarageBand, or I think it was Logic. And that's how Bloom, my first ever song as Cuzi, was written. I wrote it in like 2 hours, and I was like, this sounds pretty cool, but it's not acoustic. It's not anything that I've done before. So you know what? Let's put this off to the side. And I always label my files a certain way, and just the way that the screen was showing, it had my name shortened at Cuzi dot blah 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 next track, and I was like, you know what? This is like electronic sounding, so why don't we just call it that? And then the name kind of just ended up sounding really catchy, and I was like, okay, we're going to release this style of music as Cuzi. This is where I'm at.
Fantastic stuff. I love that story. It's great that you've moved from that acoustic and then you've had that name change, almost like a rebranding, and come out the other side. Do you think you'll ever go back to the acoustic, or do you think it will ever make an appearance as under the name Cuzi?
Probably not. I really want to stay focused with this genre. Plus, this genre feels natural to where I'm at as a person and also as a writer. But the other stuff, I still want to, play that genre of music. I think once I get out to California, I'll start, collaborating with bands. And hey, do you need a guitarist? Hey, do you need, and just spreading my wings musically, so to speak, so that I don't forget where I came from, and so that I stay on top of the styles. But for me, as an individual, Cuzi is what is going to be like the music moving forward.
Fantastic. That kind of segues nicely then, because we're coming towards the end of the chat now. So, what does the future hold for you? Have you got any sort of imminent releases? What's going on at the moment?
I have 3 songs on deck, ready to be mixed. I have a cover of "As It Was," Harry Styles.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it sounds killer. It sounds like if you took "Love Probably" and "As It Was,"
I look forward to that.
Crazy mutant baby. But those are the projects that are coming up. My whole career professionally was in medicine. After the Air Force, I have completely abandoned that. I realized that it wasn't making me as happy as music was. So that's when I was like, all right, we're packing everything up. We're moving to California, and we're going to just give it 100% and just keep pushing until it happens. Because otherwise, I don't think I'll be happy. I don't think I'll be satisfied working a 9 to 5, or satisfied, clocking in and talking to customers, or in medicine talking to patients, or anything like that. I just want to write music. It's really all it is, and I want to perform.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing this journey, and I look forward to this cover as well. I'm very intrigued by that. I look forward to hearing that. Have you got an idea when they're going to be released?
As it was, I finished tracking vocals a couple of weeks ago, so I think here in the next probably end of this month or beginning of next month. That's the next song that's scheduled to be released. It's "As It Was." So we're gearing up.
For the audience listening, this is recorded 11th of September. So when this episode comes out, I would imagine, I'm doing my the logistics in my head, I think it'd be around the same sort of time. So that would time quite nicely. Fantastic stuff. There we go.
Go check it out right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go check it out right now. Yeah. So where can our audience find you online?
They can find me on Instagram, on TikTok. It's all Cuzi Music. And on Spotify. Please check me out. I'm also on Apple Music if you prefer, and I'm on SoundCloud.
Lovely stuff.
And
like I said earlier,
spelled C-U-Z-I.
Fantastic. Thank you. I will put links to all that in the episode notes so the audience can go away and check up on all that. But Christian, Cuzi, thank you for joining me today. It's been great to pick your brains about music and talk about your journey as well, which is a very different journey to a lot of the interviews that I've had. And also the fact you're in a coffee shop as well, which also adds to the uniqueness of this interview.
I promise if we do this again, it'll be like a soundproof room.
Yeah.
Without any coffee orders in the background.
You know what? It would be great to do it because you're making this change now, aren't you? You're moving out to California, which is happening. It'd be interesting to do another interview in a year's time and see where you've gone from A to B and see what the difference is. So I'll make a note, and then maybe we'll get together again in a year and see what's changed, what's happening. I think that'd be really cool.
Let's do that.
Fantastic stuff. All right, I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers, buddy. Thank you so much for listening to the Inside the Mix podcast. Make sure to rate us everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts.